Hey gamers, it's Wintermute here from Grind This Game, and I've got some feedback in the forums, in the comments about my electrolyzer setup here. It's not very efficient because I've got all these pumps that are not always pumping, but when they are, it's kind of inefficient. And the idea I think that people were presenting was move these electrolyzers to the top of the base, and then just collect the hydrogen with a single pump at the top and let the oxygen force kind of push down everything in the base. And that sounds like a really good idea, but I got a lot of stuff in the way because I've got these sealed rooms here. And this is all sealed. So what I'm thinking of doing is moving all this water into just having a tank right here. Moving all these grow rooms maybe down here to the left, and that way keep the whole right hand column available for airflow and keep the whole left hand column kind of sealed as sealed rooms. It would mean relocating all these bedrooms and eating tables, but that's pretty quick to do. And we could actually put the oxygen generation maybe up in this top portion and seal off this part here, and make sure to seal off this part up here. So I'll get started on that. We got lots of spare food, so we can afford to do it now. So we want them to get all the water for things out of here until this is drained. Goodbye, nice paintings. And I think I'm going to give up on sleet wheat and pincha peppers because we don't really need them. They're kind of inefficient sets of food, so I'm going to tear all this down and replace it with Mealwood. For now we'll keep growing pincha pepper because it's kind of consuming our polluted water, but we won't actually use them. So we put some new grow rooms over here for Mealwood, and I just harvested all this, so I'm going to deconstruct it all. Looks like I cut off our power by mistake. Oops. So we're going to seal up this area here. Gotta clean all this yucky oxygen out of here. We probably need an airlock right here. So now we can add some more airflow tiles in here. And we had CO2 pumping in here, we gotta cut all that off. Don't want any of that anymore. So we can actually kill all the gas pipes up here. Don't need them. I'm just putting a pump in here to get all this water out of here into here. We won't need as much water for irrigation since all the sleet wheat is gone. And that way we can let the air flow all the way through this area. So we don't need all these manual generators anymore, so I'm going to deconstruct them. Or these batteries. We have batteries down below. So I'll probably move the bedroom and eating area to these areas. Once we've cleared all this CO2 out, let it fall through. Once this water's gone, we can open up this to air. We could probably get rid of most of these medical beds. Could probably use one more carbon skimmer that's outside of this sealed room. Kind of clean up all the CO2 here. We'll put it on an Atmos switch. I'm going to deconstruct some of these medical beds. I'll leave a couple. And I think we can get rid of this lavatory that we never use anymore. I really hope this tiny little water containment area doesn't break. Could probably actually open these doors. Let the CO2 fall down. So we'll mop up the remaining stuff here. Then we can tear down this pump and open this up so all that CO2 falls down. So we're rebuilding our electrolyzers over at the top of the base here. Got our gas pump going into a gas filter, filtering out hydrogen, going to this hydrogen generator, and then everything else we're sending down into the base because it should just be pure oxygen. And we have our water coming from that top geyser here, and we'll just put that into the electrolyzers. And we may need some cooling, so I'm going to put some pots in here for wheezeworts. It's running already. Can start tearing down this one. So let's deconstruct. Actually, let's just disable for now, just in case we change our minds. Putting this through an Atmos switch so that the pump only activates if the pressure is high enough. Might as well hook in this hydrogen generator for now. We can split it off later. There we go. It's almost fully working. We may want to build like a little bit of a pyramid here, so the hydrogen goes up into a peak. But I got to deal with all this polluted water first. Let's go really liberal with the airflow tiles just underneath this. Temporarily, I'm going to put the bedrooms right here. That way they should have lots of oxygen. Should take these ones down. At least until all the CO2 has been dealt with. I'm going to get rid of this cooking room. It's minus 62 in there. Wow. That's cold. We want total airflow through here. In fact, this little water room might have to go as well. I think it's safe to tear this down now. Don't really need it. I'm going to move the eating area right here. Tear down this room. I'm gonna kill off these bedrooms as well. And the massage table's in a terrible place right now, so I'll move that up. Need power for that though. Let's put it right here. And we gotta get their nice paintings back. Get rid of these air deodorizers, don't need them. So after that long time lapse, I noticed it didn't have enough food, so I'm going to put Mealwood growing rooms all in here. And we already got some here. And I had to move the toilets up because this area is becoming super CO2 rich. So I could probably deconstruct these now. And our medical beds now need to go up here. And I put a space heater in here because it was a little bit chilly. It still is. And a couple of wheezeworts in here because it's a little bit hot. So once we get this kind of dialed in, I think the temperature will pretty much maintain itself. We could try pressurizing this room with oxygen instead of CO2. That way they wouldn't be suffocating all the time. But we're even kind of somewhat thin oxygen up here. Not here, but in the middle. For some reason it's not making its way down here. Can put even more airflow tiles in, but this is all kind of redundant here now too, these hand washing stations. It's not really necessary. We're not going out of the base much. This is even locked here. So I'll probably just tear all this down. Oh wow, our water has grown a lot. So we could put in more electrolyzers. Got lots of water there and lots of water in the other geyser. So yeah, I think I'll put in a fourth electrolyzer. Could even put one just right here. Or a bit lower. Kind of right in the base. It has a decor penalty, but I think I'll try it. So, electrolyzer. It might get too hot. Actually, a bit lower. Let's put it down here. Maybe we should put it down here. Yeah. Flooding. What's going on up here? Oh, everything's melting. Let's put a ladder in. Drains down. We're not really using these two areas here, so I'm just going to seal them off. Okay, it's looking good now. Decent amount of oxygen in here. CO2 is not great. We could be getting rid of more of it. Might need another scrubber. We got some idle dupes, so I might put some more storage in here. Oh, they actually haven't filled up these yet. My poor little suffocating dupes. This water tank's really in our way, so I might move it to the left. It's preventing airflow through here. So our food's going up a lot now. Before it was going down 17,000 per cycle, and now it's going up. Well, we'll see what it's like in a few cycles, because that seems like they just did a big harvest. I'm going to put an electrolyzer down here as well, since we have excess water building up down below. Now it seems like fertilizer synthesizers will work no matter what the pressure of natural gas in the room is, because this is maxed out at 5 kilograms per tile, and yet they just keep going. So that's a good way of destroying polluted water. And I'm going to put a few more in, because our polluted water is going up slightly. Not by much, but when we did that really long number of cycle time lapse, it started at this level and it's only risen this much, so 2 or 3 more fertilizer makers might be enough to keep it at bay. It's running out of power. Actually, everything is running out of power. What's going on? Seems to be okay again. Oh, we're consuming more power than we're producing. That would be the problem. Wonder if we should put one more in. Means we're going to have more CO2, more polluted water. It tells you how much polluted water comes out. 67.5. And a fertilizer maker consumes 150, so... But then the CO2 needs to be turned into polluted water as well. So I think, roughly speaking, one fertilizer maker offsets one natural gas generator. Roughly speaking. This water is really hot up here now, 65 degrees. So we're going to try to cool this area down more where the radiator is. Got lots of idle dupes. Just standing around doing nothing. Look at all that food. That's a lot of food. So things seem to be pretty stable. So I'm going to let this run for 10 or 20 cycles and see how things shape up. See how the polluted water, whether it goes up or down. See whether this clean water goes up or down. We got so much of it here. And also take a look at the water levels up here, but they seem to be going up as well. Oxygen's looking good in the living area. Not super in the lower areas here, but they don't go here much. So we'll just let it run. And I'll probably do a time lapse of the next 10 or 20 cycles. Looks like they don't want you to play AFK. Look. If I mouse over, they all become ready to harvest, but before they weren't. Magic. I guess they made it so you can't go idle for too long. That's why my duplicates died. So I'm gonna go back to an old save. So I think that's it for this episode. We got our electrolyzers kind of redone at the top here. And they're generating enough oxygen for the whole base. Definitely the living area. And it's a little bit thin here, but it's working just fine. We moved the showers up here, the bathrooms up here. And now everyone's idle because they don't have anything to do. Look at them just sitting around, wondering what to do. One thing I learned by leaving the game, just running without doing anything for over an hour, is that they'll stop harvesting after a certain amount of idle time, and eventually just starve to death, even though there's lots of food. So that's what I showed earlier, where you just, when I came back and you just started mousing over the food, then they can harvest. So this base could run kind of forever now. I think we actually have a lot of fresh water piling up. This will overflow eventually. And down here, this would overflow eventually. So we could put even more electrolyzers in, but we don't really need them. And we've got tons of mealwood, enough to sustain us forever. We could try taking on more duplicates. Oh, look at them all sleeping. So happy. Not this one though. He's not happy. So I'm not sure if I'll continue with this base. Gotta make up my mind about that. Could try to take on more dupes. We could try a few other things out. I've been thinking of trying a low-tech base where I don't use any hydro or any natural gas power. Maybe even no electrolyzers. See how that goes. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button if you're liking these videos. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.